You think it's over now. You're wrong.
All aboard the night train.
It's over, Prime.
This is the siege.
I'm a man of my word.
Hey. Yeah. Dead or alive, consider this home. No killing the vibe in the Nightwatch zone. Xenomorphs hype when the lights come on. Hit a like and subscribe and the show might blow. Go viral, no COVID, it's a spiral. Emotions, hand on the Bible. Only go sign on the dopest your vitals. Better tune in, yeah, you know it's vital. From Schwarzenegger to Kane Hodder, Corey G down to Harry Potter. Shit's Sigourney Weaver, love the Nightwatch zone. Come with me to the Nightwatch zone.
Well, there are two things a man should never run from, even if they cost him his life.
Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. We are here. We made it. And today is going to be a special day because Coriander's here with me, but we have our lovely special guest, Miss Kelli Maroney, hanging out with us. And we couldn't be more excited. How's it going, Kelli?
Well, thank you. I couldn't be more excited either. So this is great. Thanks for having me. This is terrific.
Absolutely. First of all, we're just obviously huge fans.
Thank you.
Of your movies. We're huge horror fans. We're huge movie fans. So this is a really, really cool moment for us to be able to sit and talk with you for a little bit, and also for our audience to get a chance. Yeah.
Hey, I can sort of see the chat, not really, but
Okay.
I don't think I could answer it. I knew that because I checked you out, and of course, you spoke about my friend Barbara's movie, so
yes,
it was great. I love what you said. So
yeah. Oh, thank you, thank you.
I
Yeah,
haven't seen Catherine's interview yet, but I haven't seen that yet, but I did get a chance. So I know who I'm talking to. I'm talking to an expert.
Well, I don't know if we're experts, but we're truly big fans, and grew up at a time when I think horror and movies in general, there was just a lot of creativity, there was a lot of variety, there was a lot of opportunity. People they just did their thing, and you were a big part of that. And it's like I said, for us doing this small YouTube channel, it's just so cool to be able to chat. So anyways, whoo, all right. So for you in the live chat, thank you for being here. I just want to say hi to a couple people here. We've got Val's in the chat, Jason, JJ, we've got Russell in the chat. Let's see who else. We've got Dan's in the chat. WRD channel 13's in the chat. What's going on? Good to see you too. Let's see. Jamie's in the chat. Great to see you, Jamie. All right. You guys are awesome. It's great to have you here. Gina's in the chat. All right. Good to see you too, Gina. All right. Gina said, yet another person being interviewed that my brother had a crush on.
Oh,
Nice.
where were these guys?
That's awesome. Oh my gosh, that's great. Hey Jen, good to see you too. Scott's in the chat, and our good friend Neil from Neon Black Reviews in the chat. What's going on, man? Good to see you. Jason Dyer as well. All right. Wow. Ultimate Sunrise and Nanette. Good to see you guys too. Very, very cool. Thanks for coming here. Now, if you guys have any questions, any burning questions for Kelli, feel free to throw them in the super chat and live chat. We'll try to get to them as many as we can. If you do a super chat, be guaranteed to get answered that we'll ask. And yeah, let's start this thing off. And hi to Ava as well. Sunrise saying she's beautiful. Yes, she is.
Thank you very much.
All right. Very, very cool. And Jason saying, good evening, Night and Coriander. Thank you, Kelli, for visiting with us. It is such an honor.
It's my honor as well. Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, absolutely. So let's get this thing going on. Well, let me just say one more thing. Dan was saying, I just wanted to pass on that my dad, who never watched sci-fi, would always watch Night of the Comet when it came on cable. He really got a kick out of it.
Oh, I'm glad to hear
Nice.
that. Thank you.
Yes. Alrighty, so let's start throwing some questions out here. Coriander, I'll let you start off first, ladies first, and you
Thanks.
can
Yeah.
start chatting with Kelly a little bit.
Okay, so I was kind of looking at your bio, and is this true that you're a member of the Academy of Magical Arts?
It is. My husband belonged, and he was a magician since he was a child. But he's not a professional magician anymore. He doesn't perform at the Magic Castle. But anyway, when we were dating, he was writing a column, so we would go backstage and everything. And I knew all these magicians, but I was a muggle, and so I couldn't. They wouldn't tell me certain things, and there's certain places I couldn't be in. I couldn't go in the library, and so I wanted to be a real part of it. So I studied and studied, and they're so nice. It's I can't imagine the magic community it'd be the equivalent of Meryl Streep saying, "Are you new? Come on over here. Let me show you something." They're so, and they all know. It's like, I'm going to be in Phoenix. Where's the magic community? And they hook them up. I've never seen anything like it before in my life.
Wow.
They started teaching.
That's cool.
Yeah, well, I didn't pass right away. I mean, first of all, I didn't expect to pass. They've been doing it since they're 5.
Mm.
But, the horror community and the magic community are a little bit intertwined. And they didn't want, I know that they didn't want it to seem like they just let me in, because of my husband. But I don't think they were that much harder on me than usual. It's hard to pass. It's the Magic Castle, for Pete's sake. But I don't perform. I just wanted to be part of it. And the first thing I did when I passed, I walked in the library, and I walked all around the library. I said, "I'm in the library. You can't stop me."
Nice.
One thing that sometimes you don't want to know how stuff is done. You really don't.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
That's cool.
Yeah, the best thing about going there is taking somebody and watching their face.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because how'd they do that? And
right.
Then once you know how they did it, it's not that big of a deal. That's what I mean. You'd rather not know, because it's more magical.
That's cool.
Yeah. It is.
Kind of having that sense of just impossible being able to be possible, and once you know what's going on, it's kind of like, darn.
That's how I think it kind of ties in, and a lot of, not all of them, but many magicians are spiritually inclined, or very esoteric like that. And that's the whole point of magic, and I think that's the whole point of films too, is you make the seemingly impossible possible. And it just encourages other people to this, you could do this. This is whatever it may be that the movie's about. But people, it reminds, like when I watch a movie, it reminds me that stuff like that can happen if I want it to. If I'm present, if I want something, that we could do that in our real lives.
That's a good point. I like that.
Yeah.
That's very spiritual. Very, very cool. Now I had a quick question, and obviously I've seen you interviewed before, and obviously been a fan forever. But you know how sometimes you hear things, or you think you heard things, and you're not sure if it's true. So there's only one way to know, and that's to ask the source. Now you got your start in soap operas.
I did, accidentally.
And it was by accident.
It was by accident. So I was a kid. I graduated early, and I wanted to go to conservatory school. And my mom said, because I was her last kid, all her kids were grown up, and she was over it. She was just like, "Go do what you want to do. Life is very, very short. Please go do what you want to do." Because she was older when she had me. So I did. I went to this conservatory school, and I was getting my butt kicked because all these kids were already professional kids. But I wanted to go back. So I went in the fall to Manhattan. I had $500, no place to live, too young to hire me for anything. And I went to this woman who was she helped people find apartments. And she said, I can't find you an apartment because I can maybe get you a roommate, but you don't have, I got it. Yeah, I understood. I don't have an income. And she was, yes. So she said, but my friend is an agent. I don't know how these people got to be friends. They're different, as I found out, but um,
Mhm.
can imagine her being friends with her. But um, she tells me that there's a soap that is looking for a Midwestern Lolita and they can't find anybody. And why didn't you go, so I went over to this agent. It was the size of a closet. The smoke was filling the air. It was the 80s. You could smoke inside. And
Man.
I had this one picture, and it doesn't look anything like me because it was kind of like a model shot I did in Minneapolis um, when I went to the John Robert Powers School of of um, they don't call it I guess they call it modeling, although I don't think it's modeling. But anyway, I
Mhm.
digress. And so they called me in, and long story long, I got the job. It was so outlandish and so far fetched that of course I got the job. It was already too crazy, you know. And so I was there 2 weeks before that happened. I said, "Mom, I'm on TV."
Wow.
It was and from then on, I just tried not to get fired. I didn't know
Wow.
anything. If it wasn't for my mom, putting my mom
Mhm.
on TV, Louise Schaefer, I wouldn't have made it because she taught me everything. There's your
Wow.
light. Look in the camera. That little red light when that goes on, that's your friend. Someday it
Mhm.
might be your only friend, but that's your friend. So she taught me how
Right.
to relate and she taught me how to cry on cue. All the things you have to do to yourself to get yourself to cry and on cue and just everything. And
Wow.
yeah, it was real trial by fire, but it was the best training ever. I could have stayed in conservatory school for 25 years and I would not have learned what I learned in 1 week there because it's it's not rehearsal. It's
Mhm.
do it. And I also was carrying a storyline, big storyline because I was evil. So that
Yeah.
yeah, so it was sink or swim, and so I learned how to swim as fast as I could.
Wow. That's
I was
very,
gonna
very
be
cool.
I was gonna be damned if had to go home and I got fired.
Right, right, right.
No, I couldn't face myself, much less my family. So yeah, so that's what happened.
Nice. Nice. That's
And
cool. I like that. That's very, very cool.
it was well because
Um,
then from there, because I was already a professional, I
mhm.
didn't have to go through a lot of the things that some girls had to go through breaking in because I was already treated like a professional. I had a good agent and I got
Oh,
to skip
nice.
some of that casting couch stuff that
Oh,
other
that's
people
cool.
have to go through. I mean, I didn't had to skip all of it. It was the
Right.
80s. It was super, super what's the word for it? Um well, it wasn't cool. Inappropriate was the word I was
Mhm.
looking for.
I
But
can only imagine.
that's the way it was. And
Mhm.
the attitude was, if you this is how it is, and if you don't like it, you can't handle it, maybe you shouldn't be in this business.
Mm. Mm.
That's what they said. I mean,
Yeah.
in so many words. And basically, they also would say it in words, but then we looked around, and noticed it was the same everywhere.
Wow.
And yeah, so yeah, we've come. I mean, it doesn't seem like it sometimes, but
Mhm.
from back in the day, we have come a long ways.
I believe it.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's good
Mhm.
though.
yeah.
Yeah.
Even
Because
though
Absolutely.
you
we have a ways to go,
everybody should be treated equally
like a
and
human being.
fairly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Exactly. Not a piece of meat or yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Absolutely, no doubt. Real quick too, in the chat, Val is coming in with a super chat question. Oh, thank you so much,
Ooh,
Val. Thank you. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much for supporting us and helping us today. Saying thank you for coming and hanging out with us fans tonight, Kelly. How do you,
absolutely.
yeah, how do you feel about Night of the Comet being an 80s horror favorite still today?
Shocked. I'm shocked. I loved it very much, but if you were to tell me, okay, it's going to be 2023 and you're going to be talking about Night of the Comet all the time, I wouldn't. Needless to say, I would not have believed you. Same with
Wow.
Chopping Mall. I was like, really?
Mm.
I can't believe it because we do these things and then we go on to with our lives and
Hmm.
it's not like a big movie studio movie where you think, oh, everybody's going to see this or anything. But to have it. hit with people so that they still like it and still want to talk about it that's the meaning of life. You get into whatever it is you're doing, but certainly with acting, you want to connect with people on on a meaningful level and
Right.
do whatever you can to inspire or entertain or just make people not feel not so alone.
Mm-hmm.
All those things, and to know that to have somebody tell me you did that, I'm gonna
Right.
cry. So, yeah, I love it, but I'm sure I was really surprised too.
Wow. Yeah. No, I can imagine. I think one thing that's cool is that, with horror in general, the fans and the community, they're very, very passionate and very supportive of these projects and the people involved in front of and behind the camera. And I think that's just so cool. It's like
Yeah,
everyone gets that sense of appreciation and also kind of a sense of fellowship and connecting. There's so many people with similar stories about how they came upon a movie or what it meant to them as a kid or even as an adult. And
mhm.
sometimes these things have helped people through really tough times in life. And it sounds crazy, but it's true.
It's true. It is true. Many times, people have said you'd have no idea. I was, one story really touched me. I was being bullied, and I would always think, what would Sam and Reg do?
Mm, very cool.
Mm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and
Wow.
so, all right, I'm sappy. Sorry, it's unbelievable. I'm
Oh,
so
it's
sorry.
okay.
No,
No,
not
but
at all.
Catherine and I were going. So do we, actually.
Mm.
Mhm.
The great thing about being an actor is some of those things that you play rub off on you, and
Mm.
so you know, not maybe consciously do we go, what would Sam do? But it did add that depth. I might not have had that in my personality had I not played that part.
Mm. That's a
So
really good point. Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Well, Val, thank you so much for that super
yes,
chat question. Very, very
thank
cool.
you.
Thank you so much. We really, really appreciate it. And it makes a difference. It really does. Um,
Okay.
Coriander, I'll let you ask your next question for Kelly.
Okay, so that scene, right, when your stepmother slaps
Yes,
you, is this
yes.
did she like actually hit you when she
No,
was
I'm glad you
doing that
brought that
scene?
up because IMDb has a ridiculous story like, oh, they really hit each other. That's
Yeah.
not what I said. Whoever put that, that's not what I said. What I said was because I had had some experience doing this stunt because on Ryan's Hope, my mother and I were always getting into it, and we slapped each other
Mhm.
at
Mm.
least once, and so the thing was trying to do that so that the camera doesn't see that you're a mile away and it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't look
Mm-hmm.
fake. It's really hard, and you could and Lisa, we could end up hurting ourselves here. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
just hit me then. Let's go home. Because I knew she wasn't gonna hurt me, but like sell the punch so we can go home. And
Right,
somehow
right.
or another that was misconstrued. And now there's a weird thing on IMDb. But no, it's a stunt, and she was so scared to hurt me that we
Mhm.
had to we had to come on, it's okay. And then
Yeah.
Oh,
it's just acting. You just you see the hand
yep.
coming and you go with the hand, and then
Yeah.
I had that fun thing of rolling over the couch. So I would just take the hit and then go rolling and land by the TV. And it was
Mhm.
really fun because I was doing a stunt.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, and Sharon wasn't crazy about having to do it. At no time was she loving it, but she did it because she's a pro. And
Mm-hmm.
but she
Mm-hmm.
has, now it's funny. Now she sees that it's funny. So,
Oh,
Oh,
wow. That's cool. Well, that's
yeah.
interesting too. Like you said, IMDb kind of um twisting
Yeah.
certain things.
well, it's just normal. It's just humanity. I mean, you can say something and somebody's going to hear it differently than you meant it. Or
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
or another thing that happens with me oftentimes, unfortunately, is I will say something and somebody decides it would be better if she said this.
Ah.
Oh,
Yep.
And that
Yep.
man.
really it makes me angry and it makes me hurt. that they would just like do that, just
Right.
mess with it. Yeah, but that it'd be better if she said this.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's frustrating because there's a lot of people that they might take that as the gospel truth because,
they do.
especially yeah.
They
Wow.
do.
Yeah,
So,
that's absolutely too bad. My goodness. Wow.
well,
Uh
it's part of, it's an occupational hazard.
yeah, I guess so.
Everybody
I
goes
never
through
really
it.
thought of it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Jamie in the chat is saying Samantha was such a strong character and was definitely an influence on me as a young girl. Oh,
Oh, thank
cool.
you. That's
That's
great. That's
that's
those are the best things is um like knowing that you help empower people,
mm,
um that we weren't waiting for somebody to rescue us, um and yet we weren't like GI Joe either. I like to think of her as like a kind of a normal person that got caught up in something, and of course in every horror movie your dad is a Marine, and that's how you know how to use that stuff, which I wish we
yeah.
would find something else, because recently I saw a Final Girl saying that again, and I thought we got to come up with something new. That trope is over. But um um but people say that. I love that because again,
Yeah.
that's what you hope for, when you do it.
hmm Yeah. Good point. Good point. Speaking of which, and you just used a description that is very popular in horror circles, but Final Girl.
Hmm.
Um, and I know you're a fan of horror.
Hmm.
Um, do you have either a favorite Final Girl or a few that are some of your favorites that you've watched in some of your movies that you enjoy?
Yeah. Well, of course, Betty Davis is my favorite Final Girl. Um, and because I saw that was kind of like a horror thing. She did a couple things that were sort of horror, and they were on TV when I was a kid, and I watched them with
hmm
my mom. And I always we had this little pocket in time where women were really empowered, and we had a lot of Final Girls. And then
Right.
something happened, and they all became girlfriends again. And I'm not sure how it happened, but and then it found a balance, I guess. But there was this one little patch of time when I got it's like I got the best parts because they were writing that stuff, and
Yeah.
I mean, I was just lucky that they wrote it. But I did a Murder She Wrote with Linda Hamilton. I thought she was freaking awesome, and so Terminator. So yeah, I always admire her. And of course Jamie Lee Curtis. That when I saw Halloween, I was that was the first thing that actually really scared me to pieces. Like really scared me because I
Wow.
hadn't seen a lot of other stuff yet. Um, like The Exorcist really scared me, but not till I got home. It's like, "This isn't that scary, I'm okay," and then I got home and I was not okay at all. Um,
Right.
not the least bit okay. And then, also, Blowout. There's a
Oh.
murder scene or something in there, and I was scared to go I was scared to be alone after that one.
Mm.
Yes, but you asked me about Final Girl, I'm trying to keep on point. Um, I don't have anybody that I watch every single, like, that's my favorite, but
hmm
I love them all.
Nice. Very, very cool. And there's a lot of great ones. There really, really is, and usually they're in great movies as well. I mean, we obviously have talked about a whole bunch of them, and it is really cool when you have a movie and you got a final girl. Sometimes it's a final guy, and it's a character that you really
Mhm.
connect with. It's always
Yeah,
very cool.
yeah, and a lot of times, they don't in the '80s, everyone was very aware of writing characters, and then it got to be more about romancing the monster, first of all, and then it
Hmm.
got to be about different things. People focus on different things in films in different eras, I guess. It
Yeah.
got to be more about what it looked like, and we kind of lost a little bit, in my opinion, of character, and that's what
Hmm.
makes you care.
Right.
I'm invested in that person, but people are just getting blown up all over the place. my mind, I go into brain freeze, and I don't see. My mind stops watching it after a while, so I have to care.
Good point. Yep. Yeah, we talk about that a lot because, if it's just a lot of things going on or, violence or just a lot of gore for gore's sake, yeah, okay, that's something, but it doesn't stay with you like it does if you have good character development and you're invested in that character. And then when they're going through whatever they're dealing with, it really stays with you a lot more, and I totally agree with you. Absolutely. And Coriander, I'll let you go next with a question, and then I'll catch up to
Sure.
some of the live chat here.
Okay. So another favorite, one of my
Mhm.
favorite movies that you're in is Fast Times at
Oh yeah,
Ridgemont
yeah.
High.
Uh
And
huh.
what was it like, because that was like an all-star cast. We didn't all know it back then,
Hmm.
but to
I
think
know.
about all the people in it now, do you
Well,
guys still like talk or get together or anything like that?
well, I see Amanda and I see Robert Romanis and who else is in there that I still see? But I mean, they they don't do conventions or anything like that,
Mm,
so that would be where I would see them. So no, I don't see
yeah.
Phoebe or um, Jennifer or anything like that. Um, or but I have run into people, and it's so funny because it's kind of you run into somebody from that, and it's like right back to square one. It's like that thing of, oh yeah, the beginning, the beginning of
Hmm.
everything. Even though it
Right.
wasn't the
Yeah.
beginning for me, I had done a movie, it
Right.
just hadn't come out yet. Um,
Oh.
and it wasn't the beginning for a lot of people, but it felt
Hmm.
like the beginning somehow.
Mm.
But
How old were
Amanda,
you when you were
oh,
in that role?
17, I think.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
So maybe.
Nice.
Um, so what was I going to say? Ah, I just left me. I'm sure if it was important, it'll come back. Wow.
It'll
And
come
I
to you
noticed
when.
because, yeah, you've had a couple roles where you played a cheerleader. So, and
I
is
had,
it true? Yeah, is it true that you kept one of your costumes
well,
from Night of the Comet?
Night of the Comet was built for me because it was
Yeah.
a what do they call it, a magic realism. So those
Okay.
colors would not be, this
Right.
turquoise and fuchsia, and
Hmm.
they fit it to my body, and they practically sewed me into it. My
Wow.
real cheerleader outfit, it was an actual. They had the whole football team in Fast Times, and they took those suckers away from us as soon as we wrapped. Like, give me the jacket
Oh,
because the
Wow.
jackets were superb. Um,
yeah.
I didn't even know it, but somebody came to visit in Los Angeles, and they went to the Universal Museum, and they said, "Kelly, your cheerleader outfit is in the museum, and it says
Hmm.
Cindy on it." And so I said, they took a picture, and I said, "This is the greatest thing ever," because I had no idea. And now I have a picture of it.
Nice. Oh, that's
Wow.
cool.
That is cool. Wow. All right. I didn't I didn't know that. You do learn something all the time. That's pretty cool. All right. And real quick in the chat, just to catch up to these guys, Nanette was saying, "Hello, Kelly. I have a question.
Hmm.
What would you say is your favorite role you've ever played?"
Well, I think probably Sam was my favorite role. I think I have to say that. Although I feel like whatever I'm working on is my favorite role because I try to just jump in there, and really dig deep, and they're all me anyway. It's some version of me
Mm,
as actors. I mean, we just pull up those parts of us that belong to that and think, under these circumstances, what would make me do that if I had this background and if you make stuff up. That's what you do. You're an actor. You make stuff up in your head.
right.
But I think yeah, I would have to say and um, it might be because I had Roy London as a coach for that. I love being coached. I'm a firm believer in coaching.
Mm,
And just like, an athlete would never dream of not being coached. So,
right.
I mean, after past a certain point, yes, you could go in there and do something without being coached, of course. But um, he was really wonderful, and just the way that I got to work on that part, again, it's so to my heart, so specific that I don't even know that he knew what he was doing, but it, I mean, you know how much he was going to affect me,
Mm,
but it just, I don't know, I just that's my heart there, I think.
yeah. Yeah. Coaching, that's a good, parallel, like you said, with an athlete, even the greatest athletes, they still learn from their coaches. They might have whatever type of skill set, but the coaches, they're far enough removed that they can see beyond certain things that the athlete can't. So like you said, very similar with acting. So that's
Mm.
very cool. I've never heard anyone ever say, number one, that coaching is important, and number two, that they prefer it, like you just said. That's really, really interesting.
Well, also, you're not supposed to be watching yourself when you're acting. If you're watching yourself, that's you're going to be bad because you're not supposed to be, watching yourself. Although there's an instance where people do watch themselves when they're, but that's going to get too complicated. Um,
Mm,
so, but the coach will say they'll push you farther than you'd go yourself. Would say, just by like nudging you, where you think, okay, that's good. I got what I wanted to do. That's what I'm going to play. And, well, wait a second. And if you have to let them in, but if they can steer you towards a button that's really going to make it pop, that you wouldn't
mm,
go it by yourself.
right.
It's just like you do 50 setups and it's somebody else comes along and goes, you can do 100. It's the same thing. They
Hmm.
just push you further so that it's better than it was going to be if you did it yourself. Because
Right. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
just, whenever two or more of you are gathered, I just think people, when you bounce off other people, that's when you're the best of you comes out. Well, best
Mm,
of
Mm.
me. I think that of
yeah.
anything really.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. It really, really does. And speaking of which, that was another question I had, that I didn't ask earlier. Now, with when you're going for a part and things like that, one thing that I had thought I heard a while back is, did you read for Nightmare on Elm Street?
Hmm.
So that is
And
true.
Heather Langenkamp, apparently, yeah. And the only reason this is a story is because she went on to do Nightmare on Elm Street, obviously. But we
Yeah.
do run out of things to talk about every once in a while. So, yeah, but I read for, I have no idea how far along I got because nobody ever said, hey, do you know who almost played that part? Kelly Maroney. But yeah, I
Hmm.
did. Yeah. And when I met Robert England, he said, I remember seeing you two at all these auditions all the time. And I looked at him and you could tell I didn't know. And he goes, Red Fro. And I went, oh, yeah. Because I forgot all about it. I mean, you go on so many of these calls and everything, you
Yeah.
don't remember, I mean, if you do, then you really have to let go of this stuff because it'll tear you up inside if you let it.
Right.
So you go and then like you finish a job and it's really sad to finish a job every single time. You don't want to go, you know,
Hmm.
Mm.
and then you get another job and then you kind of forget about that one. And you have to have a mindset that way. And it's the
Yeah.
same with auditions. So
Yeah.
yeah, I also auditioned to be the girl that Bruce Springsteen pulled up out of the crowd to the Courtney.
Ah,
Yeah,
no kidding.
Courtney Cox
yeah,
got
Yes,
Courtney
that.
she
Cox.
did.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. All right. Man, I did. Well, I guess that makes sense, but I never really thought about the fact that they, had auditions for
Well,
that role
I
like
don't
that.
remember if it was an audition or I don't really remember. I do remember not getting it. I do remember getting the call like, oh, he's going to pull somebody on stage.
Wow.
But yeah, like I said, it's our job. Like what I'll go as far to do is I have my sides, we call these sides the audition thing.
Hmm.
So pretend this is an audition thing. And it's their sides and you memorize them, if you're smart. um,
Hmm.
but you have them in your hand so that you remind people this is an audition. This is not a performance. So that
Hmm.
they know that you can do something different, otherwise. Um, you don't want them to take it as that's the best the actor can do. So that's what we always do. And
Right.
up until if you get to like final callbacks, then yes, you you don't have this in your hand anymore. Like if you're going to the network or something like that, God forbid, you don't have that. But, so many things are
Yeah.
going through my head in this interview that I can't. I keep. Oh, I remember. So my point was, I will take this after all that work and throw them out because it
Gotcha.
symbolizes I have no control if I got that or not. I have no control over it. You know.
Mm,
So bye. And
that's
a lot of
cool.
people do that, and then other people save them. You know, it's everything about this is the way people navigate show business is their own personal thing, and it's funny to hear stories about what works for people. Like
Right.
one guy said that no matter what time his audition was, when he got home, it was the beginning of his day, and he went home and made himself breakfast. That's the beginning of the day. Yeah, there's a couple other ones too.
That's crazy. I like that. It's
Yeah.
breakfast time. I've never heard that. That's good. Oh, all right. Um,
Oh, I know what I was
let's
going to say. Van
sure.
Johnson was he was a classic movie star, and then I had the good fortune. He was on Ryan's Hope, and then he was on Murder She Wrote, the same episode that I was on. He always wore red socks for good luck,
Wow.
and he'd been in the business since he was a kid, and he had those red socks.
Wow.
That's
Yep.
crazy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, obviously he must have felt like he had a lot of good
It's a
luck with it.
security. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
when a big part of your job is exposing yourself, it never stops being. If it stops being scary, you probably suck at that point because, of course, it's you have to be a little raw, a little naked, and let people see you, and you have
Right.
to believe what you're doing, or the audience will not believe it. If you don't believe it, they will definitely not believe it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like we can never like coast. I mean, we can coast, but we don't want to coast. None of us want to coast. I don't think.
Right. No, that's a good point too. Yeah. Let's see. Jamie in the chat is saying, question, saying,
Mhm.
I love the mall scene in Night of the Comet. Was that a fun scene to film? The stores are open, like a dream
Yeah.
come true. Laugh out loud.
Yes, it was. It was a very fun scene. The whole set. It was an abandoned Bullocks. I don't know if you. That's a big shopping center out here.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, and I didn't know where some of these places were, but people who love the movie have told me where they are. That I didn't know, but they knew. And so we shot several things. Like once we shot that scene where um, we're talking about Hector, and then we shot the shoes, and then we shot um, Willie. So there was a lot of stuff going on there, and we weren't there. That we went so fast, you cannot believe how fast we shot this movie.
Hmm.
But now it wouldn't seem to us fast now because we don't shoot on film anymore. But they would like literally the film would run out, and you'd have to stop.
Wow.
So yeah. Obviously we don't have that kind of stuff anymore, so the technology makes us be able to go even faster, but in terms of telling the story and getting in there and working on the scenes, that was fast.
Yeah.
It seems like it was always fast for me. I never was on a set where it was like leisurely ever. And I don't
Really?
know if there is such a thing as a leisurely set.
Hmm.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
We didn't have the same feeling of desperation to get something in the can on fast times as a bigger movie. But like
Yeah.
at Universal, they have a cappuccino person that comes around, and stuff like that. And indies are like a different story. There's one truck and everybody's lined up, and the homeless people get in line with us, thinking that it's for them. And why wouldn't they? Because I'm having rollers and a bathrobe and slippers or bare feet. Of course, they thought it was for them. And I thought we should have them have it. I don't know what they did about that, but that was what I wanted. I don't think anybody ate all that stuff. I don't know. I don't remember. It's been a long time ago too.
Right.
But that did happen down there.
Nice.
Yeah. Of course they
And
thought that. Mhm.
oh, I bet they did.
Yeah.
I would too.
Especially the way we were like the way we looked rolling up to lunch. Yeah.
Right? I'd be
No, in
like,
the middle
man,
of
they're
the
the
night.
goodies. Yeah.
So it was super fun. To answer the question, it was super fun. We did not know what song was going to be, but that song just makes it. And she goes, "The stores are open," and it goes. It's just that says it all. That really,
Mhm.
you know, I don't, I didn't, I don't think I knew. And now, as I'm sitting here talking about it, I think I did know something about that song was actually newly famous when we did the movie. That's
Mm.
how. So it would never. I would never think that that Cyndi Lauper's version would be in there. So I can't remember exactly what happened. There was a woman, and of course I can't think of her name. I just read something about her too, that did a lot of things like that, and she covered "Girls Just Want to Have Fun" several times.
Mm-hmm.
And of course I can't remember what her name is now. But I guess I gather when the movie opened in New York, they opened at a disco because it was, I guess, the last days of disco there, and they played that scene and her singing "Girls Just Want to Have Fun"
Mm-hmm.
on the walls. And I understand that they do that off that that's a thing that gets done,
Oh
which is
wow.
cool. I know.
Yeah.
Somebody sent me a picture of it once.
Nice.
Oh,
So yeah, I
that
get
is
these
very
great
cool.
little pictures. I mean, fans will go, "Here, Kelly, look at they're dressed up like you," and they just send them to my social media, and that's awesome.
I love that. I've got a couple images here too, obviously from the movies. You'll probably enjoy some of these. And Jamie, thank you for that question, by the way. Um, one of the famous shots in Night of the
Yeah.
Comet with the gun just being
Yes.
Mhm.
badass. I love
That
that.
face. Oh my goodness.
And all I know is that the first time I saw that movie, I was just like, "Oh wow, we're shooting guns. This is awesome!" Because I was a little kid, and I love horror and I love action, and this movie had so many elements in it. The sci-fi element. There was some bits that were funny and just kind of had a lot of charm to it. So I just think that the movie has just got so much going on, which is why, and Coriander, I'll let you throw a question in a minute, but one thing I wanted to say real quick, which is why I don't want them to remake this movie.
Oh,
I
I don't.
really don't.
Are they talking about it?
They talk about it every so often, but
Hmm.
it's been to every studio in
Hmm.
in Los Angeles, and they keep saying the story is about the girls. What are we going to do? Make a better Comet? Sure, we can make a better Comet. Do they need?
Hmm.
They're not going to make a movie about two girls these days. They're just not going to do it.
Mm,
It was its own thing. I too
right.
wish they'd
Mhm.
just leave it alone. You know,
Oh, okay.
but I mean, if they do a sequel or something, of course we're going to support the movie if we possibly can. But
Hmm.
I don't think Catherine is that excited about having another one either. But we would do it, depending on what they did to it. That,
Mm,
much depends on that, if
yeah.
it's so. Yeah, but I mean, there's so many ideas have come up over the years about like part two of Chopping Mall or part two of Night of the Comet. There's some great, great, great ideas, but nothing has ever really gelled. And
Mm,
then Tom was saying that throughout the years, like they were going to do a cartoon, they were going to do this or that, and nothing ever came together with it.
hmm.
Yeah,
Wow.
and then also the rights were in question. Something happened in the 80s with video, and all of a sudden the rights were split all over the place. Like somebody owned the music and somebody else owned, and and so you couldn't. A lot of those movies you couldn't figure out who owned it or who to ask, or you couldn't play it.
Hmm.
So um, um, MGM made it their business, and this is not the only movie, not the only studio that did it. They took the time to piece these things back together. Oh, there are the rights for this movie. Or there. I mean, for this music, or there's whatever they could, and they put it back together with all the rights in one package, and that's how we got the Blu-ray.
Mm.
Ah,
Okay.
okay.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, a lot of, and then they would know too. They got to, if it, well, like somebody like me would call up and ask about their movie, about buying it.
Hmm.
They go, that must be a hot ticket. If she wants to buy it from us, let's get that one out. You know, but I can see where, of course, if we're calling
Right.
up saying, well, what's going on with my movie, and we want to buy it, there's a reason for that, right? So,
Hmm. That's a good point. They figured they'd try to beat you guys to the punch and say, "Wow, if they got interest in it, then this
well,
might be something that's very lucrative."
yeah, because I mean, even though they thought maybe it was, that's really proof. Um, um, if the person, if the actors are calling saying we'd like to buy our movie back,
Hmm.
um, yeah, yeah,
Wow, that's something else, man. Gina said no remakes are required. It's
yeah,
true.
that's what I think too. It
Yeah,
was its own thing. I mean, as you said, it's like it's not straight horror, it's not comedy, it's not zombies, it's not. What is it? It's its own thing, and you can't get any more 80s than that movie. But we weren't doing
Yeah.
that on purpose. It was the 80s. That's how we really wore our hair.
yeah,
That's how we really, that was all real. It's
yeah,
just the way it was.
yep. Very, very true. Um, Now, one other question I wanted to throw out real quick from one of our good buddies that was not able to be here in the live chat, our good friend Ginger Ninja
Hmm.
from across the pond. Well, more than across the pond. He's in Australia, but
That's far for
he's
us.
a huge, yeah, he's pretty far, but he's a huge fan of movies, of horror. He's a huge fan of yours. And
Oh,
he was so dejected because he's like, I won't be able to be there live when you have Kelly on and
oh,
this and that. And I said, well, bro, just tell me if you have a question you want me to ask her, and I will. So I'm
yeah.
doing this for you, Ginger Ninja. Um, he says many of your films are cult classics. And
Mm.
his main question was, what do you think made them cult classics? What were the attributes, from these types of movies that make them last for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years later?
It's really that's a mystery. That's a great question,
It
and
is.
I'd love it if in 2023 I could come up with the same thing. Do it again, Kelly. Do it again. Um, if you think I'm kidding, I'm really actually not kidding. But I think it had something to do with. In my case, I think people could tell that I was like balls out with my heart.
Hmm.
But I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if that's why or not. I'm sure I'm not the only actor that was.
Hmm.
But isn't that something? You know, I, I'm so lucky. And if you couldn't have planned that. I didn't
Right.
know at the time.
Hmm.
People say to me, God, you are the 80s. I'm like, how did this happen? You know?
Hmm.
Yeah. And then afterwards, the 80s were definitely out. So there was kind of
Hmm.
like a backlash against the 80s for a while, in the 90s. And then all of a sudden, if you wait long enough, things come back.
Yeah.
So I can't even, that's a great question. And I wish I had a better answer. And it's also not the first time we've been asked that. And we
Hmm.
don't know.
Hmm. Well,
So, I
that's
mean,
okay though.
Catherine, in my case, um, maybe it was just, I just don't know. And
Mm.
sometimes I think it could be Gen X. All those stories were so Gen X.
Hmm.
I mean, we were just, we're like not raised by anybody and just took care of everything ourselves. And there wasn't parents involved in any of those things. And maybe that's it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe. I've heard those types of stories from so many friends and also, viewers of the channel. It's a very common story. Like you said,
Mhm.
a lot of folks, even myself to a degree. When you are at a certain age and you connect with these movies, it stays with you. And especially
Yeah.
if you're in a situation where you may not have a lot going on, or like you said, if you're home alone, or
Mhm.
it's kind of time to relax and you put in something like Night of the Comet and you're like, wow, this is just really cool. And you just connect, with that movie and the talent there, so it's
Well,
a
I
common
was a
story.
latchkey kid and myself, and and I would say, back in the 80s, nobody was gonna get on your case for hitting your kid at all. We
Mm-hmm.
got hit, I mean, if that was a thing, that was a normal thing. Now they call the cops and take you away from them, and but
Yep.
it would be abuse. But we didn't have that then. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, somebody said it, and it's so true. It's like you have to remember, Gen X's parents they have to have a commercial. It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That was the real commercial.
Yep.
It's 10 o'clock. The public service announcement, I guess. So yeah, we are on our own. That whole generation is on its own, and I think a lot of people feel like they're on their own. But
Yeah.
we haven't put our finger on it yet. Please tell your friend thanks for the question. And I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, I talk all the way around it, but I don't feel like I've hit it on the head yet. If I do, I will tell you immediately.
Okay, all right. But no, I think you're right. There's mystery to it, and maybe that's part of the magic too, is that there's mystery to it.
Could be.
It really could be. Real quick too, we've got another super chat coming in from our good friend Annette from the Blood Rose Horror Nightmare, and saying, "I love hearing your stories on movies. Thank you."
Oh, thank you for letting me tell them. It is fun. It's so on one hand, you start to feel like in my day. That's how sometimes I won't, like, I'm something comes up and I tell a story, and I had forgotten it myself until something made it click in my mind again. That's probably the reason I remember this stuff is because people, like you guys ask me these questions. Otherwise, so this is great for me too, and I really appreciate you saying that. Thank you. That's
very, very cool.
Yeah.
And it is that weird, quirky little stuff that you're not going to hear anyplace else. I always like it when people start talking. I always hear these things like, "No way, is that true?" Yeah. To this day, a lot of people that were here before us and everything, they start talking and little things like Van Johnson's socks or what have you come out that you're just not going to hear otherwise. So
Right.
thank you very much. I love the name of your show too.
Yes. Very, very cool. And Jamie was saying, I remember those "Do you know where your children are" ads. Hilarious. They did need a reminder. There you
It
go.
was terrible.
Too funny. Oh my gosh. Now, as we start to wind down a little bit, because I definitely want to be respectful of your time, Kelli. Coriander, did you have another question you wanted to throw out to Kelli before we get maybe some final questions from the live chat?
I see a question.
I'm just, glad that we got you on the channel, and that it's been such a pleasure to meet you and to hear all your experiences. And yeah, your character Samantha was such a awesome, strong girl, who I'm a youngest also, so I kind of get it how the oldest always gets, whatever. So
I
I
really
could
wanted to
feel with
point
your
that out with
character.
I really wanted to point that out with her, being the youngest, Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just been great, and I just want to say thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Thanks for telling me that. I don't know unless you tell me. It makes me feel really good, like, I'm doing something not meaningless with my life. You know what I mean? It's nice to know that what you're doing is landing, is getting across. Thank you.
Yeah,
So much.
definitely.
Absolutely. Now, before we get ready to head on out, do you have any upcoming things that you're starting to work on or looking to work on, or any projects that you hope to be a part of anytime?
A lot of things I hope to be. See, first we had a bunch of things canceled because of COVID, and now the
Right.
writers and actors, writer's strike definitely, and the actors are going out too. And so a lot of things that I was hoping to shoot are not going anywhere right now while we
Mhm.
wait. And that's okay, because if we don't win this AI thing now, we're never going to get a hold of it again. It's going to just be gone. And it's Big Brother kind of stuff. And nobody wants that in any area of life,
Mhm.
where they just own everything all of a sudden. And they started calling, who's listening? Somebody listening. They started calling, like, our tours of the day, like Francis Ford Coppola, that, instead of calling them filmmakers, they started to roll credits as creators. Like I'm sorry, creators. No, they're directors and writers and auteurs. I could say it. Trying to say
Mhm.
auteurs. I could say it perfectly before I came on mic. Yeah, it's just it's such a put down.
Yeah.
That's a line
Yeah.
from my book. I'm from Fast Times. It's just so
Yeah.
we have to get a hold of that. But
Mhm.
right after this, I'm going to meet the filmmakers. Dances with Films, because the short that I did is there,
Mhm.
and it's
Nice.
called The Haunted Baby Carriage from Hell. That's cute. And I've got a couple of movies. I was in Night Stalker, not Night Stalker, Stalker, just, 1 and 2, and then an H.P. Lovecraft, the old ones, and there's a second one out now. And I was
wow.
amazed. I was amazed that people didn't know what to make of it at first, and I didn't really blame them. I didn't really. A lot of times, I will just come in and shoot my stuff, and I'm not involved with the whole thing,
Yeah.
which is kind of a downer, because I'm used to. I really liked when I was involved in the whole thing, because I was shooting that day, so I'd be sitting there, soaking it up. Like, little pictures have big ears, but now I'm likely to just go in and they'll shoot my stuff and get me,
Mhm.
which I hate, kind of, because I want to be part of it. I mean,
Mhm.
I still get connected to it, though, because I just dread every time the movie ends. My last day of shooting, it's so hard, because it's amazing how fast you get, because all these people with one common goal, how fast we bond, and then it's over.
Mhm.
But while we're doing it, that's our whole lives. That's how so many people, like, end up thinking that they're in love with somebody that they're working with. When you get to your real life, they have nothing in common. Okay, it was just the movie.
Right.
That happens. It does happen. What was so I've been so tangential this whole time. Can I
No,
ask?
we love it.
Oh, okay, good.
Mm.
It's great. It's great. It's great hearing the different, like, your perspective on it, not
Mhm.
only, behind the camera, but also just looking at, you know, artists in general, and I think that that's really, really cool, because we don't always get a chance to do that, to hear that, from someone that's in the business, how they look at things when they were in it, and also when they're actually able to remove themselves a little bit and speak on, the business. So that's really, really cool.
Mm.
Really
Oh,
is.
good. Because I was thinking, I'm so they have no idea what I'm talking about right now, or why I'm talking about it. So that makes me feel better. Thank you.
Yeah.
No, it's very,
Yeah,
very
no.
cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
We don't like watching ours. I mean, I hate watching myself to this day. But they did a Night of the Comet thing, and Catherine and I sat there and we watched it because we were supposed to.
Mm.
It would have been really weird if we didn't. It was one of those vibes,
Yeah.
and it was so much time had gone by that, and we were such babies that we were able to watch it.
Hmm.
Nice.
But that's
Very
how
cool.
many decades later that we're finally able to watch it.
Right. That's funny. Oh my gosh. Um, Jason was saying, thank you, Kelly. It's been such a joy to have you here with us. You're such a great actress, and I've enjoyed your films since I was a teen. Night of the Comet, Chopping Mall, Fast Times. Awesome.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Cool. Yeah. Um, let's see.
You guys are awesome.
Val was also thanking you for spending time with us tonight. She says, it's been a pleasure getting to talk with you tonight, Kelly.
Thank
Very
you.
cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Dan, our good friend Dan from Mr. Dan and Horror, also saying thanks for joining us, Kelly. Very cool.
What a
All
great
right.
crowd. I'm just going to stay. I like it. I'm just going to stay. This is my pleasure. This is just great.
Well,
I think it's a great show. Yeah.
I
The
mean,
audience is spectacular.
yeah, well, it's really like a hangout, I mean,
See
when we
that?
have people here or guests and we're just talking, and it's just a great way to connect with
Yeah.
people. Yeah,
And you guys
really,
feel
really
like
is.
you guys are also really open and like you just feel like that we know you and somebody we can talk to. I can see that right away. Me too.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, thank you.
A lot of
Nice.
people,
Yeah.
you don't feel like you could talk to somebody. Sometimes you just don't get that impression that you want to talk to that person necessarily. You watch the show, but you guys
Yeah.
are very welcoming and very, I like
Oh,
things very open hearted. I love that.
oh, thank you. Well, we definitely, we definitely enjoy, talking about movies, and it's been such a big thing in our lives, from a young age all the way up to right now. I mean, and to be able to share that passion with people and make connections and friendships and bonds and stuff like that, it's truly you know changed our lives. It really
Yeah.
has, in a
Yeah.
great
And
way.
I love 80s movies, and I just love that decade. So, I mean, the fact that you are in it in so many awesome ways, it's so cool. So, yeah,
Isn't it
man.
weird? I know. Boy, I really lucked out, and I
Yeah.
had no idea how that happened. You
It's
couldn't have
incredible. So,
planned
good
something.
job.
Well,
Yeah.
thanks. Accidentally. Thank you.
Very cool. Jamie also saying, thanks so much, Kelly. This has been fantastic. Fantastic. For me, you're a huge 80s icon, and getting to hear your stories has been wonderful. Very
Oh
cool.
gosh. Well, I'm just warming up here, so I got plenty more stories.
There you go. There you go.
I also always forget to mention that Scare Package 2. I'm in Scare Package 2, and they're going to do Scare Package 3, so people must like it.
There you go.
Yeah, so yeah, I do have little things here and there, nothing like mainstream, but it's really like a really good sign when you ask back for the part 2.
Yeah.
Very good
Yeah.
sign. And I don't like to die. And my fans don't like to see me die either. So I always have to come back, even if there's
I
one in
like that.
particular where it looks like I died in the first one, but no.
Nice.
No, it looks like I died in the second one too, but probably no.
I like that. That's awesome.
Right.
All right. Well, guys, we're going to get ready to wrap up here with the wonderful Kelli Maroney. This has been just a fantastic moment for us and for this channel and for this community. And we thank all of you guys that have spent time with us today, and also a lot of great questions for Kelli. Please feel free to leave any other comments or questions in our comment section. And also don't forget to hit the like button because it helps supports us. And also make sure that you're following Kelli on social media. That's
Yeah, that
also
would
a
be
really
great.
cool thing.
That'd be
Yeah.
great. And say where I ran into you from at the show.
Yeah,
I know.
that'd be cool. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
I'll be back next week. I'm not leaving now.
That sounds good.
Right. Well, because we definitely, and I know someone had tweeted this, and I think you had liked the tweet, but someone said, okay, well, now at some point down the road, you got to get Kelli back on, get Catherine, and we'll have a Night of the Comet watch along or something like that. And I said one can dream. So you never know.
It's funny with us because we're not after all these years later, and I don't know if we got conditioned to be this way or what, but we do kind of fall into that Reg and Sam thing. And, yeah, I mean, and also people will say to me, I did a movie with your sister. But people, for some, and that's another thing too, is like we didn't think we didn't do big chemistry stuff. Who knows
Yeah.
why that happened? You
Mhm.
know, I mean, yeah, I could go on, but I know you guys, everyone has lives. I get that. So,
Hey, we're
You can keep
good.
going.
We know you got a life. What are you talking
Right?
about? That's awesome. Oh, you're too sweet.
Yes, definitely.
That's awesome. These guys in the live chat, they're so funny. They're saying Kelly is now family. That is so
oh,
great.
good. Thank you. Thank you.
Val said, "Welcome to the Nightwatch family." You guys are so sweet. I
Thank
tell you,
you. I see. That's what I'm talking about. These people are fantastic.
they really
You guys are
are.
great. The greatest.
Yes, they really are. We're very lucky. We're very blessed. All right.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we're gonna get ready to head on out. Kelly, if you just want to wait 1 second as I play our outro that just goes on for about 5 seconds,
Sure.
and we'll chat backstage for a second. And for you guys that are here, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Take it easy. Leave us some comments. Follow Kelly on social media. You know, all that good stuff. You guys know what to do. You guys are professionals. So,
Yeah.
anyways, we will catch you guys later. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. See you later, guys. Peace out.
Upchurch.